What is going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today I want to talk to you about Protext Mobility, tickers TXTM. I want to give you a good overview of the recently submitted earnings, go over the good, the bad, and the ugly, everything that you need to know, and potentially where things might be going from here. Before I get into any of that though, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get right to it. So as you can see, on April the 14th, their annual earnings was submitted for 2022. And that does keep in line with their notification of late filing, where they do indicate that the 15th is when they're going to be submitting it by. So like I've said in previous videos, regardless of what I'm going to say for the upcoming earnings or about the upcoming earnings, management has always been one of those that has done exactly what they say they're going to be doing. And to see that from a OTC stock, that is very abnormal. So once again, that's just more of a sidestep and a kind of a good takeaway. But as you can see, this was the earnings. I'm going to go over, like I said, some of the highlights, go over the good, the bad, and the ugly. Starting off is this. So ever since RSA did kind of do that whole reverse merger with Protext, they have not diluted anything. So as what Dylan and Dr. J have said, they haven't diluted. They don't need any additional funding. And if so, they're going to be using the bank potentially. So this is where they're going to influence and kind of work in cryptocurrency. Based on all of this earnings, I don't necessarily see any reference to that. So of course that might be an option going forward. But once again, moving on from this, this is something that did kind of alert me a little bit as far as cash, the fact that they don't have any. Again, it is an OTC stock, and again, I'm going to touch on some other things that kind of factor into this, but this is one of the biggest things that kind of caught me off guard, that there is no essential revenue, no cash on hand. Because there was technically this that did come out that I was under the impression, because it does say on November the 1st, we are pleased to provide the following shareholders update and announce an initial order for 2.33 million pounds of genus cannabis sativa under the supply agreement. So in here though, it talks on a tentative agreement, but no official order, as what even right here Da Vinci does say. So the PR released regarding the sale was issued to mention that they had solidified a deal, not the sale itself. So I'm going to touch on this in a second, because there might be some things that is causing a little bit more of a potential gray in that regard. But like I said, this is something that kind of stood out to me as far as this as well. So the inventory, about that 15 million in the actual seeds, definitely is kind of a positive thing, but a little bit more of a questionable aspect as well that I'm going to share with you. So moving on from here, payroll kind of in line, a little bit low in reality. But if you read at the very bottom of the actual document, it does say right here, during 2022, Mr. Dylan and Dr. J each earned a salary of $1. So like I said, no matter what the earnings do say, even though there's no potential revenue, and I'm going to touch on that in a second, management is top notch. I can guarantee you there's not any OTC stock out there, or technically probably any stock in general, that their CEO is not taking a massive cut of everything. There's tons of OTC stock that is just consistently bleeding cash all the time, but yet what they do, they just dilute, then reverse split, then dilute, but not them. So like I said from the very beginning, they have not issued any shares, and as far as their salaries, they only took $1. So definitely this is one of the best takeaways that you can ever kind of see. Even though there is a little bit more of a gray as far as the potential revenue and things like that, this is what you want in a OTC stock. So again, this definitely was a massive, massive positive. And when it comes down to it as well, while I'm here, it does also say on December the 15th, 2022, Dr. J contributed approximately 15 million genus cannabis sativa seeds. So this is where that 15 million does come from at the very top over right here where I touched on. So right here, the 15 million. So in general, it was kind of a little bit more of a shocking aspect to me, because under the impression that I had, RSA did a whole reverse merger on which all the assets that was under RSA did kind of get moved over. But Unfortunately, there was one thing that did kind of cause a little bit more of a potential red flag to me. It says RSA had no operations or assets prior to the acquisition. So again, I could be very much wrong about this because I am not a financial advisor, so you guys do your own due diligence at the end of the day. But when it came down to, for instance, their Q3 earnings, when they did announce it, even though that was delayed, that was one of the biggest things that people were kind of scratching their heads over, is why there was no assets under the books here. And a lot of people were saying, well, RSA hypothetically didn't move over any assets or whatever it might be. This is where kind of it went downhill a little bit. But as you can see right here, this is all the list of subsidiaries, and it does say RSA Acquisitions LL. So when it comes down to it, based on a lot of the agreements, and even if you search, for instance, RSA, there is different companies between RSA and RSA Acquisitions. So again, was there a whole reverse merger with, for instance, RSA Acquisitions, whereas Acquisitions maybe didn't necessarily have all the assets per se? Once again, I'm not necessarily sure. So this definitely threw me off, the fact that they had no operations or assets. So it does look like here on out that, for instance, Protext, if they are going to be really ramping up, they are going to be doing it on their own dime. So there will be a little bit more of a tentative dilution, but like I said, they do have the whole aspect of the bank that they're going to be trying to utilize and capitalize on, and that would be through the whole cryptocurrency, which is kind of, at the time when they announced it, which was, I believe, Q2 or Q3 of 2022, that was very hot. Cryptocurrencies and kind of funding through that way was the next big thing. But since then, things have kind of taken a little bit more of a sidestep away from that, because people see cryptocurrency as a whole different level of risk. So I don't know if RSA and / Protext is still going to be trying to do that right now, because unfortunately, ever since the whole CE tag, they kind of have gone silent. Not fully silent, but you guys get what I'm saying. And when it comes down to it, like I mentioned about this whole kind of revenue, I wanted to talk on that for a second, on why this may be considered a deal, or why are people even considering this a revenue or potential revenue. So I did do a video back in, as you can see, 5 months ago. It doesn't actually say the date, but it says TXTM is making history, 400 million in revenue sale TXTM. So I quoted something that was posted on Twitter, as you can see. So someone compiled a bunch of stuff. I don't know if this was originally positive or negative, but no matter what, you do see Dr. J saying another shipment cleared LAX airport. One of the reasons why I'm here to visit LA / the FDA office. And so it says, let's do the math, 65 million MGS. So obviously in regards to a potential delivery, or at least a agreement part of the shipment. So again, if this is just a tentative agreement, there wouldn't be any deliveries or shipments. So again, I do understand different viewpoints and why some people might be perceiving this as a tentative sale that would have gone through, especially Dr. J right here. Someone did say, it's sale order, not sold yet. PR said growing, not sold. That is why people are freaking out. Let's see what patience brings. And he says contact / sold. So again, that kind of makes things a little bit more potentially gray. And on October the 24th, Dr. J does say booking revenue. And of course, this was done prior to this. So he was kind of alluding to this tentative news coming out on November the 1st. So once again, I don't know, kind of blocked out my pretty or ugly face at this stage. But obviously, I don't know who compiled all this information, but this is where a lot of people have a little bit more of a question mark on their face, why there is no actual revenue on their earnings, because it definitely, based on the time period, it should be on this earnings, especially considering the fact that Dr. J does say that there was a shipment that was cleared, or that did clear the LAX airport. So that would insinuate that it was done during this time, so 2022. But once again, I could be very much wrong about all this, so let me know your thoughts on that in the comments below if I do have anything wrong, because unfortunately sometimes things don't really add up. But like I said, Twitter sometimes isn't always the most reliable place for content, and like I said, I don't necessarily remember who posted this per se, but again, it's a little bit more of a gray area. But regardless of that though, like I already said, management is basically doing exactly what they said they were going to be doing from the get-go. So no dilution, as what you do see right here. But surprisingly enough, they didn't really explain this, but they didn't tell us that they weren't going to take any salary. So that definitely is a very, very positive thing in my opinion. So once again, let me know your thoughts on all of this in the comments below. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. One final thing I just wanted to share with you. I don't know if you can actually buy Protext on here though, but there is a good promo with moomoo, link in the description below and also the comments. Sign up for a free account and you get 1 free stock. Each stock is valued up to $2,000. So even if you just do that, take advantage of that 1 free stock while you can. Moomoo does also offer $0 commission and free level 2 trading. So kind of a no-brainer. So take advantage of that. Link in the description below and also the comments. And as you can see, if you throw $100 at the account, you do get additional 4 free stocks. So like I said, complete no-brainer. But without further ado, I appreciate you guys watching. Let's all make a lot of money on Protext.